Our series called Happy, and we've been talking about some habits of happy people, basing this series on the book of Philippians, which is in the New Testament of your Bible, a letter that the Apostle Paul wrote to a church in Greece, in Philippi in Greece. He had started a church there, and while he was in prison in Rome, he wrote a letter back to that church. And this whole series is based on that because it's the happiest book in the Bible. The word happy or some form of that word shows up 17 times in this short book. And so we've been looking at Philippians. For those that don't know me, my name is Jonathan Moore, and I'm the lead pastor here at NorthRock. Thank you for being here. You made our day by getting up and showing up in our second service this morning. I wonder if any of you guys use little emoticons in your texting whenever you're texting or sending emails, the little smiley face thingies. We have a picture of some on the screen. These things here, do y'all ever use those? Yeah? Yes. I know. Some of you actually use this side more than most because at least that's what it sounded whenever you said yes. I tend to use this one at the bottom, these two at the bottom, on the bottom right, more than others. I always feel like that second guy there for some reason. Not the wide-eyed guy at the bottom, but the next one with his going like that. I always feel like that all the time. So when I tend to put that in my texts quite often. I don't even know what that feeling really is, but that's how I feel. That's how I feel right now, a little bit, right there. But we use these emoticons kind of as substitution for our actual feelings. I mean, whenever you're sending text, that's the problem with the texting and the emailing world is you kind of lose out on the face-to-face. And so there's a lot of times there's emotions that get lost in translation and texting. And so we try to use these things as substitutes for what we're actually feeling. There's another. I got a few more I wanted to show you. Here is, I'm praying. I fingers crossed, hope it happens. And then this guy in the middle. Yeah. I don't think that's ice cream. You can think that if you want, but that is a smiling piece of poo, I think. Something you don't see on a screen in church every day. But emoticons, these things substitute for real emotion. A lot of people are like that in their life with happiness. They're always looking for something to substitute for their happiness. Some people think that happiness is a game of chance or a game of luck. But we've been talking about how happiness can be learned. It's not something that you discover one day. You don't find it on vacation in the mountains one day or on a cruise in the Caribbean. You don't find happiness there. Sure, it makes you happy, but you don't just find happiness and suddenly you're happy from then on. Happiness is a byproduct of good decisions. Happiness is a byproduct of good choices and right choices. And so we've been talking about some of these habits and some of these qualities. And today we're going to look at 4 very important qualities that we all need to build into our life in order to be happy. Because happy people have certain qualities that are pretty consistent across the board. And you'll find this in a lot of happy people. And we could talk about a lot of things, but we're going to draw our inspiration from the book of Philippians. And we're in chapter 2 now. And we're going to start in Philippians 2, verse number 19. And again, Paul wrote this from prison in Rome to the church in Philippi in Greece. He had started this church. And so this church was very important to him. And he wanted them to know that he was caring for them. And they had actually sent Paul a care package in prison while he was awaiting his appeal before Caesar, the appeal of his execution, actually. And they wanted to try to take care of him as best they could. And so they had sent him a care package. And he was thanking them for the package that they had sent him. And he's continuing to write here in Philippians chapter 2, verse 19. And he specifically begins to talk about two specific guys in his life that were very important to him. Timothy, and you'll see in a moment, a man named Epaphroditus. There's a long name that it's hard to pronounce, it's hard to spell, but he's a great guy. And so Paul starts talking about Timothy in Philippians 2 and 19. Here we go. He says this, I hope in the Lord Jesus to send Timothy to you soon, that I also may be cheered when I receive news about you. Cheered, happy. I have no one else like him, yet nobody like Timothy, who will show genuine concern for your welfare. Paul's telling the church in Philippi, if I send Timothy to you, I promise you he will show genuine concern for your well-being. Verse 21, for everyone looks out for their own interests. That's typically modern people, modern America, looking out for their own interests, not those of Jesus Christ. But you know that Timothy has proved himself, because as a son with his father, he has served with me in the work of the gospel. Verse 23, I hope, therefore, to send him as soon as I see how things go with me. And I'm confident in the Lord that I myself will come soon. So again, Paul's in prison. He's seeing the bright side. He's believing that when he appeals his execution before Caesar, that he's going to be able to be released. And so he's believing that I'm going to be able to come as well, but right now I'm going to send Timothy to you. And Timothy was kind of Paul's son in the gospel. He had mentored Timothy. Timothy was very important to Paul and to his ministry. And so Paul is saying, I want to send him to you. Hopefully I'm going to be able to come as well. Verse 25, but I think it's necessary to send back to you Epaphroditus, second guy in this text, my brother, my co-worker and fellow soldier, who is also your messenger, whom you sent to take care of my needs. So Epaphroditus was actually part of the church in Philippi, and he's the one who had actually brought the care package to Paul while he was in prison. He actually the one who physically delivered it. And so he was Epaphroditus was really kind of longing to get back to Greece and see his friends and family. So verse 26 says, for he longs for all of you. He's distressed because you heard he was ill. Indeed, he was ill, and he almost died. But God had mercy on him, not on him only, but also on me, to spare me sorrow upon sorrow. Therefore, I am all the more eager to send him, so that when you see him again, you may be glad, and I may have less anxiety. So then, welcome him in the Lord with joy, and honor people like him. Verse 30, because he almost died for the work of Christ. He risked his life to make up for the help that you yourselves could not give me. So at first glance, when you read through this text, it almost appears it's not something you would necessarily preach a sermon about, because Paul's just kind of giving a shout out to, these two boys, Timothy and Epaphroditus, talking about how amazing they are. Whoop, whoop, lift it up for my boys, Timothy and Epaphroditus. These are awesome guys, man. Awesome. But you can't just move on to what's next and say, all right, Paul's just giving a shout out, because anytime there's something in the text like this, it's there for a reason, and it's there to teach us. And what we're going to look at is we're going to pull 4 qualities from this text that are some incredible examples of what we all need to build into our lives in order to be happy. So we're going to look at 4 specific things about these 2 guys that Paul is talking about, Timothy and Epaphroditus, that we need to learn in order to get happy, in order to have happiness consistently in our lives. Again, Timothy was kind of a son in the gospel to Paul, and Epaphroditus is there in Rome because the church had sent him to deliver a care package to Paul. And Paul's wanting to send them back. He's wanting to send them to the Philippian church, and he's endorsed them as incredible role models. Of Timothy, he said in verse 20, I got nobody else like him. I have nobody else like him. And when Paul says this about someone, you need to kind of sit up and listen. Because Paul's a pretty big deal. He had started churches all over the then-known world. He wrote a majority of the New Testament of our Bible. And in fact, 2 of those books in the New Testament were written specifically to Timothy. Letters written to Timothy. So Timothy is a big deal. So what's so cool about Timothy? And so he intends to send them back. And he said, I got nobody like him. Epaphroditus, Paul said, you need to welcome him and honor him, because he basically gave his life, or he was willing to give his life for the gospel. Willing to give his life for the gospel. And Paul said, I want to send them to you so that I can be cheered, so that you can be glad and rejoice, and that I can have less anxiety, kind of lighten my cares. Now, as your pastor and as your friend, I want you to have less anxiety, and I want you to be happier. I want to have less anxiety. And I want to be happier. How many would say, I wish I had less anxiety in my life? Yeah. I need to be happier. I need to be happier. I need to learn how to be happy in traffic and in various lines because I lack patience. And I need to learn how to have less anxiety and be a happier individual. So we're going to look at this text and look at 4 qualities of these guys. The first one is this. We need to learn to shift the focus in our lives away from ourselves. I need to shift the focus, my focus, away from myself. This is an incredible starting point for happiness. If you want to learn to be happy, quit staring so much at the man in the mirror. Yeah, you need to fix the man in the mirror, but you got to quit living so much for the man in the mirror. Of Timothy, Paul said in Philippians 2:20, I have nobody else like him who will show genuine concern for your welfare. Genuine concern. Genuine concern. He said, for everyone else is looking out for their own interests. Most people these days are looking out for their own interests. We don't typically get up in the morning. Most of you didn't wake up this morning thinking about other people in this room, wondering, I just wonder how their day is going to go. You didn't wake up thinking about your coworkers or your boss thinking, I hope they have a great Sunday. No, you woke up thinking about you. You woke up thinking about what was hurting. My foot hurts, my back hurts, my shoulder hurts. Must have slept funny. Why is my shoulder? How could both shoulders be hurt? We wake up thinking, oh, God, I'm so hungry, I'm starving. I wake up every morning thinking about eating. I wake up starving every morning. I'm always amazed that people are like, I don't want to eat nothing. Yeah, I wake up starving. I'm like famished. The first thing I want to do is put food in my mouth. In the mornings. What we do, we wake up thinking about ourselves. Paul said Timothy is not like that. He's not like that. He has genuine concern for other people. Genuine concern. This quality of genuine concern is so rare in today's culture that it really stands out when you meet somebody who is genuinely concerned about others and about you. Now, there are a lot of people who will feign concern, they'll fake concern. They'll fake like they're interested in you. These are the people that at a party or a gathering of some sort, they stop to talk to you because they have no choice, but the whole time they're talking, they're like looking over your shoulder, trying to see if there's someone else that's like more important than you that they could go talk to. Or they're looking around the room, you're talking, and you know they're not hearing what you're saying because they're not paying it. They're looking for someone more important than you to talk to. They might feign a little concern. A lot of people offer fake interest. But Paul said, man, this guy offers genuine concern. Others look out for their own interest. Another translation of verse 21 says, others are all wrapped up in themselves. A lot of people are all wrapped up in their own affairs. Wrapped up in their own affairs. Just a word of wisdom, a little tidbit. I like to give these from time to time for you single folk. For you single ladies, all the single ladies. I will say this. A man who is wrapped up in himself is not a gift that you want. A woman who is wrapped up in herself, guys, that's not a bow that you want to undo. You don't want that. That's not. You want someone who is concerned with other people. Ladies, you want to find someone like Timothy who shows genuine concern for others' welfare. And the truth is, we have to train ourselves to think this way because it's very natural in our culture. In fact, our culture programs us to focus on the man or woman in the mirror. I mean, we're inundated with commercials and marketing ploys. Obey your thirst and, live for now. And BK, I don't know if they still do it, but the have it your way. Just have it however you want it, have it your. And that might be great advice when ordering burgers, but it's not great advice when it comes to relationships. and loving and caring for others around you. In fact, I thought this was interesting. A psychological scientific journal did a study of 1 million books in print over the last 200 years in American history. And they compared words that are used now, today, to words that were used 200 years ago. And it's unique, the words that are different. One of the things that they found is words that occur much more today that didn't occur nearly as much 200 years ago were these words: I, me, my, choice, unique, and special. Words that don't occur now, or that occur, I should say, much less now than they did 200 years ago, are responsibility, and prayer, for that matter. Kind of crazy how we shift. We don't even realize we're shifting as a culture into a self-centered, self-focused, selfie society, and yet we are. I mean, wasn't it last year that the number one word of 2013 was selfie? Unbelievable. That's who we are, though. That speaks of who we are as a culture. From duck face to the driving selfie, which I never really get that one, to selfies of all shapes and sizes. But the selfies. Confession is good for the soul, so I will do this. I like to confess. It is sad when I think about how many times in my own life that I miss the needs of people around me because I was consumed with my own issues, my own life, my own thought processes. I was overwhelmed with Jonathan. And I missed the needs of people that I loved, people that I cared about, because so wrapped up in me. Philippians chapter 2 and verse 4, Paul said earlier in this chapter, don't be so obsessed with getting your own advantage. Forget yourself long enough to lend a helping hand. Don't be so obsessed with you. Forget you long enough to lend a helping hand. That's why we believe so heavily in serving here at NorthRock. That's why we are all about getting you tied in and connected, serving somewhere at NorthRock, at least giving you the opportunity to serve here. Because we know you need to serve somebody somewhere. If it's not here, then somewhere in our community, you need to be serving. But it's one of the things that we offer as a church, the opportunity for you to tie in and find somewhere to serve. And that's why we call our volunteers rock stars at NorthRock, because we think you're a rock star when you come to the realization, I need to give myself away to something more important than myself. And FYI, as a side note, 2 weeks from yesterday, on May the 31st, we're having our annual School of Rock, which is for all of our rock stars right here in the auditorium on a Saturday morning, but from 9:30 to 1. And it's going to be an incredible day, or 9 to 1:30 actually. Incredible day. We've got an incredible leadership guru, Mr. Jeremy Foster, going to be with us. He's also quite hilarious, and he's just fabulous. And we're going to grow our leaders. We're going to, not just going to grow you to lead and serve others here, but also to help serve on your career and in your community as a ball coach, whatever it is that you would be leading or doing and serving others in your life. And if you're not on a Rockstar team, now is a great time to tie in. And always remember this. NorthRock doesn't need you to serve. You need to serve in order to grow in your faith. NorthRock doesn't need you to serve. Serving is part of your journey with Jesus, because the Son of Man did not come to serve, did not come to be served, but to serve. Jesus came to give his life away. And if we want to be like Jesus and we want to really get close to Jesus, we're going to give our life away to something bigger than our ourselves. So serving, get tied in, connect. It's so easy. You're a little worship guy there. All you got to do is say, I'm interested in becoming a rock star. Check that box. Somebody will contact you this week, and you'll be able to come to the School of Rock, and you're going to love it. You're going to love it. So we believe in serving here at NorthRock. Shifting the focus away from myself to someone else will make me much, much happier. I always say, whenever you're struggling with issues and you're overwhelmed by fear, overwhelmed by just challenges you're dealing with in your life, look at somebody else. Look at someone else who has problems. It's amazing how your problem will get smaller and smaller and smaller and smaller when you look at other people and start finding ways to serve other people who are wrestling with problems of their own. So number one, shift your focus away from yourself. Number two, become someone that people can trust. Become someone that people trust. The more people trust you, the happier you'll be. If nobody trusts you, you wind up living a miserable life. Paul said of Timothy, but you know that Timothy has proved himself. Verse 22, he has proved himself. He's been tested. He's been verified, vetted, checked out. This man is a man that can be trusted. If he says he's going to do something, mark it down. He's going to get it done. Proverbs 13 and 15, the wise Solomon wrote, someone who cannot be trusted is on the road to ruin. Let me ask you a question this morning. Do people have confidence in you? Are you trustworthy? When you say you're going to do something, do people believe you really are going to do something? Anytime that you go to get a loan, whether you're trying to buy a car, house, whatever it is you're trying to get a loan for, the bank has this little credit check process. And what they're doing is they're trying to find out if you are trustworthy. Are you credible? Will you pay them back? Will you pay them back on time? Do you keep your word? They kind of look at your past history and they look and is this person trustworthy? Are they going to do what they said they were going to do? So just here's a little happiness secret for you, a little life lesson for each and every one of you. You need to know that everyone around you is constantly doing a credit check on you. From your boss to your coworkers to your children to your spouse. To the people that you live next door to the people that you play ball with, wherever it is, people are doing a credit check on you all the time, trying to make sure you are who you say you are. Are you the same at home as you are at work, or at work as you are at home? Are you the same on the golf course whenever you hit the ball into the rough or into the trees or into the water that you are whenever you're with people at church on Sunday mornings? Praise the Lord. How are you doing? God bless you. God bless you. A lot of people are like yelling and screaming and spitting as they're pulling into the parking lot in their car, and they get out of their car just like, oh, the joy of the Lord is my strength. Hallelujah. People doing a credit check on you. I mean, your kids, I'm going to tell you what, your kids are really doing a credit check on you. And you being who you are in public, the same as you are at home, will make a significant difference in the lives of your children. If anybody's doing a credit check on you, it's the people that are the closest to you. So learn to be who you say you are. Learn to become someone people can trust. How do I do that? Number one, you can live with integrity. Live with integrity. This is simple stuff. Just match your actions. Match your actions with your words. Match them up. Proverbs 25:13, the writer says, like a snow-cooled drink at harvest time is a trustworthy messenger. He refreshes the spirit of his master. Like a snow-cooled drink at harvest. Someone who can be trusted. Number two, you want to become someone who can be trusted? Keep your promises. Do what you say you're going to do. Do what you say you're going to do. Do what you say you're going to do. Rick Warren said this, the greatest ability a person can have is dependability. Proverbs 25:19, putting confidence in an unreliable person in times of trouble is like chewing with a broken tooth or walking on a lame foot. Putting confidence in an unreliable person is like chewing on a broken tooth. I had to have a root canal a while back, and for months I chewed on a tooth that hurt. I wound up chewing on one side of my mouth because I couldn't hardly chew on this side. And what's crazy is even after I had the root canal, there's no root. There's no root in my tooth, yet it still hurts. It's the strangest thing. I'm defying the medical field right now with this side of my mouth. So even still, I can't hardly chew gum on this side of my mouth. And I like to chew gum because it hurts. And Solomon said, whenever you're putting trust in somebody who can't be trusted, especially in tense moments, it's like chewing on a broken tooth or walking on a foot that you sprained or something that's hurting. It's not cool. Become someone people can trust. Paul said Timothy has proved himself, man. Consequently, he brings joy to my life, and I know he's going to bring joy to you guys because he has proved himself. Number 3, we want to live a happy life, qualities of a happy individual. Build life-giving relationships. Build life-giving relationships. Paul was a superstar, man, but even Paul knew that we can all get more accomplished when we're working together. Again, Timothy was kind of a partner in ministry and traveled together, and Paul helped preach, and Paul had other partners in ministry that helped travel with him and start churches. And Paul knew that we need each other. We need to cooperate. We need to learn to get along with others, and we need life-giving relationships in our lives. We all need life-giving relationships. People that are speaking into our world, that are encouraging us, that are supporting us, upholding us, and on the flip side of that is people that we are speaking into their world and we're encouraging them and we are mentoring them. It needs to go both ways. We need life-giving relationships. He said of Epaphroditus in Philippians 2:25, think it necessary to send back to you Epaphroditus. He's my brother. He's my co-worker. He's my fellow soldier. Man, we've been working side by side. He's been a strength to me. He's been an encouragement to me. We're like brothers. We're co-workers. We're fellow soldiers for the work of Christ. He's also your messenger whom you sent to take care of my needs. In all of our lives, we need these types of relationships. Timothy-type relationships. Epaphroditus-type relationships. Because relationships matter. I've said it many times, and I used to say it all the time of teenagers. It's not just true of teenagers, though. You show me your friends, and I'll show you your future. You kind of are who you hang out with. If you wonder how people think about you, wonder what people think about me. Well, look around and look at the people that you hang out with all the time. What do you think about them? Or what do other people think about them? It's likely people think about you exactly what you think about your friends because you are who you hang with. Relationships matter. Life moves at the speed of your relationships. You need to have people in your life who are an encouragement to you. This is why we believe in our small group ministry. We call them journey groups here at NorthRock. Why we believe in them so much. Because it offers you an opportunity to connect with people on a spiritual level, if you will. Not a weird thing, but connect with people that are on the journey, the same journey that you are on. It offers you an opportunity for accountability and encouragement and just life-giving relationship building. In fact, our FYI, you've got this in your seat. Our summer journey groups are kicking off June 1st. It's just 6 weeks. It's a short semester, the summer is. We'd love to connect you to a group. Check it out online. You can sign up online at northrocksa.com. You can sign up using your worship guide. Again, check the box. I'm interested in a journey group. Somebody will contact you. We'll get you connected to a group, that you're comfortable with. We have all sorts of groups, by the way. And if you want to facilitate a group, you can facilitate. We'd love to have you leading a group as well. But we believe in small groups here at NorthRock because life moves at the speed of relationships. And you need life-giving relationships. Life-giving relationships like Paul had with Timothy and like Paul had with Epaphroditus. Number four, fourth and final point here this morning is this, and this is a big one. Quality in your life that you need to have a happy life. You need to live for something that's worth dying for. You need to learn to live for something that's worth dying for. Until you have something in your life that's worth dying for, you're going to wrestle and struggle with happiness. We're so crazy as a society. We give first-class allegiance to second-class causes all the time. We give big-time commitments, time, energy, money. We give big-time commitments to small-time causes. Big-time effort and energy to something that won't matter at all in 5 years from now. Or something that won't matter, as my mom used to say, a hill of beans 10 years from now. We love to give energy to things that are just worthless at the end of the day. Listen, the best investment of your life is to invest in something that's worth dying for. Invest your life in something that will outlast your life. And the truth is, you can't really live until you know what it is in your world that's worth dying for. Philippians chapter 2, verse 27, Paul said this, talking about Epaphroditus. Indeed, he was ill and almost died, but God had mercy on him. Not only him, but me also. Verse 30, because he almost died for the work of Christ. He risked his life to make up for the help you yourselves could not give me. Paul's in prison in Rome. He's in prison in Rome. And the church in Philippi, way back in Greece, is wanting to send him a care package to kind of help take care of him. But they need somebody to take it. It's not like they can call the UPS truck. Brown could do nothing for them at that time. And so they needed somebody to actually take it, deliver it. Who can do that? Epaphroditus is like, I'll take it. I'll take it. How are you going to get it? We'll walk 800 miles. Epaphroditus journeyed to take this care package to Paul through thieves, robbers, gambling, literally risking his life. Somewhere in the journey, he got so sick that he almost died. But he didn't stop and turn around and go home. He continued on. And his name wound up written in the Bible. In spite of persistent pain, he finished what he started because he discovered something worth dying for. He was living his life for something worth dying for. Paul said the cause of Christ. He literally almost died for the work of Christ. So let me ask you this morning, before we shut this down and go home, what commitment have you started? What have you committed to in your life that's a cause that's so much bigger than yourself? Something that's going to outlast you. Something that's worth dying for. What have you committed to but you've not yet finished? Maybe a commitment to your spouse, a commitment to your children, a commitment to God, a commitment to a friend, maybe a financial commitment or financial commitment to God. What is it in your life that you need to stick with? And even though the going's got a little bit tough and you've kind of been shaky, you kind of sense God provoking you onward today. In 3 weeks from today, there's going to be a crew of 16 of us, and we're going to be in the nation of Haiti 3 weeks from today. We'll be having church in Haiti. And it's a little different than church here, by the way. Open air, cinder block, no air conditioner. But we will have church. We will be sweating through our clothes. There will be sweat everywhere. We'll look terrible. We're going to be loving Jesus and lifting him up with a crew of Haitians 3 weeks from today. We go and we hang out with a local pastor there. His name Benit June. Benit's been here to NorthRock a couple times. Benit is committed to a cause that is worth dying for. And the going's gotten rough. In fact, when the earthquake hit, I think it was 2010, in the nation of Haiti, Benit had spent 12 years building an educational facility, a school for the children in his village. He's committed to building a church and a school to educate the children in the community. And some 700 plus kids in his village, which is basically all the kids in his village, as well as some from others. This is where they come and get their education. 12 years he worked to build that building, and in 36 seconds, the building crumbled to the ground in the earthquake. Well, he could have walked away. A lot of people would have. A lot of people would have said, gave it a go, gave it a try. But see, Pastor Benit is committed to living his life for something that is worth dying for. And so he started all over from scratch, building that school again. And literally in 3 short years, he's already got the school up, and this is the second year. It's ran now for 2 years. After educating children basically in tents for a couple of years, they got the new school back up. And whenever we're there in 3 weeks, we're going to be doing some more work on that educational facility, as well as doing some vacation Bible school programs for these kids. But the truth is, this man is committed to a cause that is big enough that he's going to follow through with it. Just like Epaphroditus. Going got tough, things happening, negative things impacting me, but I'm not going to stop. So what is it in your life that's worth dying for? And what commitments maybe have you made that have been a little bit shaky because things have gotten rough that you know you need to fulfill? Children, family, whatever it might be. What is it? Because we never really learn to live until we know what's worth dying for in our life. I'm going to have you close your eyes this morning. I'm going to say a word of prayer for you before we go.